What's up guys, this is Kephas, actually on Kephas today, here in Tenon Jungle, gearing up my character, getting ready to run into Hellfire Citadel soon enough, as soon as my raid team is ready, and in the meantime I am doing all I can to gear up to prepare myself for that. And so in this video, I'm just going to do that while talking to you about just that, gearing up. So, I am going to give you my advice on what I think you should do if you want to gear up we're going to say the best way or the easiest way or the most efficient way or however you want to put it, and give my thoughts on how that all works. So the first thing, let's say you just hit level 100 on your character, right? So you just leveled up to 100 and you're like, what am I going to do now? Well, if you just happen to be doing it on this weekend, you could do timewalking dungeons to start off with. That is, if you come out here and you feel like this content is a little too difficult, maybe you feel a little too squishy, you don't feel like you're ready to take on this stuff yet, you can go do timewalking dungeons. And those are really fun because, I mean, you get to go back and see some old dungeons, which really aren't that old because you probably were doing them when you were leveling up. I mean, they're there. But they're not too hard to do. You'll scale down to the level appropriate, so it's like level 70, and you'll get level 660, item level 660 gear. So you can gear up really easily in a weekend, item level 660, and if you do 5 of them, you can get like a free token, which is pretty rad. So you could always start off doing that, and that's actually really cool to do when that weekend is up. If that weekend isn't up, then what you can do is just come out here and just maybe group up or whatever and just try to get the baleful pieces. That'll get you right to 650, and you'll be pretty good. I mean, at 650 starting off here, that's not bad. If you get the full set, you're good to go. You will get drops. As you can see, I have gotten tons of baleful drops, so try to hold off on paying for Apexis crystals before, you know, you can spend 5,000 Apexis crystals on armor, baleful armor pieces, or you could spend 10,000 for a weapon. I recommend that you try to do the dailies for a little while and hang in there, and you know, try to see if you get any drops before you try to go spending all your gold or all your Apexis crystals on them. Even though you'll get tons of Apexis, right? I mean, if you do everything out here every single day, like you kill everything, like you do the 10 rares that you need to do, you do the bonus objectives that you need to do for the quest, and then you do the extra 2, and then you do all, because you can do every bonus objective every day. You don't just have to do the ones for the quest. You could continue on and get 800 extra bonus or bonus Apexis for all the bonus objectives in the zone. So if you did all of that every single day, not including the Apexis you get from killing mobs in the process, you will end up getting around 10,000 Apexis crystals every day. So in 2 days, you've gotten your 20,000 to buy the upgrade item to boost your baleful piece to 695. So in no time, you can easily get geared up to 695 if you are feeling like you want to do this every day. Now, if you absolutely can't stand doing this every day, then the other thing that you can do is run Mythic Dungeons. But here's the problem with Mythic Dungeons. See, here's my experience with what happened with Mythic Dungeons. Last night, I was with some of my friends, and we thought, why don't we check out Mythic Dungeons? And so we went in there. I ended up tanking it, and they are very hard. They are extremely hard. That's why I'm not showing you Mythic Dungeon content right now, because yeah, they're really hard to do, and that's fine. They felt very, very old school, okay? Like, they felt legitimately like old school dungeons. You had to run to the dungeon, you had to find 5 people to go with, and then you had to run in, and they were really hard. I mean, we were wiping on trash. That's how hard they were, and I'm sure that some of you might be saying, oh, you guys suck, they're really easy, they're a face roll. I don't know if people feel that way or not, but for us, they were hard, and we were running normal Blackrock. That's about where we are gear-wise. So we're getting down bosses. So it's not like we're complete noobs. We were CCing trash. We were doing everything we could, and they were still kicking our butt pretty hardcore, which is all fine and good until at some point during the run, it dawned on me that the gear that we were getting in Mythic Dungeons is 685 item level. And if you listened a minute ago, I told you that you can get 695 gear in a couple days by doing Apexis crystals. which obviously are quite a bit easier. And frankly, if you consider all the time you put in, you know, finding a group, going out there and slogging through that Mythic Dungeon, all that kind of stuff, through all that effort, you're getting less gear than you could get from Apexis crystals, right? So the only other thing that could outgear the Apexis crystals from a Mythic Dungeon is the last boss has a chance to drop 705 gear. Now here's how that works though. He has a chance to drop gear for you. It could be 685. So if it drops a piece of gear, it could be 685. And then it could roll up to 705, which means that it's a double RNG stack. In other words, it has to roll in your favor twice for it to be 705. Otherwise, you're just going to get gold or you're going to get 685. Now, through all of that effort running Mythic Dungeons, which is fine and good that there is hard content in the game, not disputing that, but for all that effort, why go do that when you could just as easily come here and get better gear than you're going to get in a Mythic Dungeon from most of the bosses? You could run those Mythic Dungeons forever and not get anywhere. And they're really hard. So my advice to people is, unless you just feel like having a good challenge and you're in there for the challenge, I do not recommend that you run Mythic Dungeons for gear. Because by the time you're geared up to the point where they're not so bad, and it's actually efficient to run them for gear, you're not going to need to run them for the gear, because you're going to be geared up. So I think Mythic Dungeons are a complete failure on Blizzard's part, because and the funny thing is, if the Apexis weren't in, it'd make sense, because here's how it would be: 675 item level for Raid Finder, 685 for Mythic Dungeons, and 695 to 705 for normal Hellfire Citadel. That actually makes sense, and then obviously it ramps up to heroic and so on. That actually makes sense, but when you add in the Apexis crystals gear, which is basically 20,000 Apexis crystals, which takes 2 days if you're maxing out, which isn't too hard to do, then you are easily going to outgear Mythic Dungeons in no time. And so that completely nullifies the need to do Mythic Dungeons. But here's where it gets even crazier. Most of, at least the first half of Hellfire Citadel normal awards 695 item level. So not only can you do Apexis crystal dailies for better rewards than Mythic Dungeons, they are just as good of rewards as the stuff that you're going to get in normal Hellfire. So that means that you can gear up here in your normal Hellfire level, which is really odd. I'm not saying that normal Hellfire isn't worth it, but what I am saying is it's very odd that you can get that good of gear from just doing very simple Apexis dailies. Which, and the funny thing is, for me, and I think part of it is because of that Mythic Dungeon I ran and realized that it was completely wasting my time, these are growing on me. I actually feel better about Tinon Jungle now than I did in my last video when I was kind of meh, you know, somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna hearth back and turn these in. But yeah, I mean, so I'm actually getting, ooh, there's a rare. Never mind, let's kill that rare. I'm actually having more fun here. And so, like, what happened was our group that tried to do a Mythic Dungeon, and we just kind of said, screw this, it's not worth it. We all left. We came to Tinon Jungle, and we just started to, wow, that guy's a jerk. Freaking scorpion me, get over here. What the heck? Did it again, jerk. Alright, let's just kill all this. I'm on my paladin, so I can survive things. I want to laugh if I die after saying that. But, I mean, we had fun here. I mean, it was a lot more fun. Went up and did the Throne to Kill Jaden daily, killed a bunch of rares, got people their beacons, got tons of blueprints from just running around killing rares. And that was so much fun, but, you know, we also knew that we were gearing up. You know, we were getting up with tons of Apexis crystals, which we got tons that day because we had killed so many things. We probably got, I think my character got probably about 13,000. Not exaggerating, about 13,000 yesterday, just from doing everything. We were, because, you know, we did all the bonus objectives. We killed everything in the zones. We were killing tons of rares. We did all the dailies, and man, tons of Apexis crystals. And if you have a Spirit Lodge or Mage Tower, you can turn in work orders for even more Apexis crystals. One work order will grant you about anywhere between 150 to 200 Apexis crystals per work order, which is pretty good. So when you consider how easy it is to get Apexis crystals, and here's the, hey, I'll make it even sweeter for you. Check this out. Next weekend, and every now and then, you're going to have weekends like this, where you will have a Apexis event, where you get, it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit cryptic how they word it here, but you're going to be able to multiply the amount of Apexis crystals you get from killing stuff, and I don't know, maybe from doing the bonus objectives. I don't know how much, but there's a good chance that next weekend we could all just go out to T-Non Jungle and gear ourselves up to 695 in a weekend. And suddenly there's no need to run LFR, or, which is fine with me, but there's no need to run Mythic Dungeons at all. I mean, unless you just want to bang your head against the wall forever trying to get the stupid 705 piece, and it's like, I mean, is it really worth it just for a double RNG roll for a 705 piece? I mean, some people might say yeah, but I am not one of them. Here's the thing. Here's what it comes down to. I am a believer in the evolution of mankind, which says that we are to take the path of least resistance. That is centuries of evolution speaking. That's what we've learned. We take the path of least resistance, which means that there has to be a risk-reward factor or effort-reward factor. If I'm going to put tons of effort into something, then the reward needs to be worthy of that effort. I'm not just going to go run dungeons because I want to, even though I kind of do want to. If the reward isn't worth my time, I'm not going to do it, because ultimately what I want to do is gear my dude up and get in and beat the raids, because that's the ultimate objective for me. There are going to be some people who are going to say, hey, I like Mythic Dungeons, they're fun. Well, then for you, obviously, you're fine. But I still think you're getting screwed by not getting the gear that you deserve. Even if you're having fun doing them, you're still not getting what you deserve. Man, there are tons of people here. It's kind of nice, even though I can't do anything. I'm just running around. You know, like, you deserve to get gear for the effort you put in doing those Mythic Dungeons, whether you had fun doing them or not. And for me, it just completely sucked the enthusiasm right out of me. I mean, we went in there and I completely lost all enthusiasm for doing that, and I felt really bad for my group, because I was actually kind of mad yesterday over it. I mean, I don't know why I hadn't figured it out already, but hi, yeah, go ahead, that's fine, I'll go somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, I couldn't believe that just how weird the gear optimization is. And really, it wouldn't be so bad if the Apexis weren't in. I'm glad the Apexis are in, particularly for people who don't have friends or don't want to group up and do dungeons or raids. They can get pretty good gear, and I actually think that's kind of fine. I know that sounds weird, but honestly, I guess if I were constructive criticism, if I were the guy in charge of the gear situation, here's what I would have done. Time walking is fine. 660. That's a great place for time walking. That is a great thing to do on your alts who just hit level 100 or who need to catch up a little bit of gear. That way they don't feel as squishy when they come out doing new content. It's a great catch-up mechanic. Time walking is great for that. It shouldn't be rewarding you with amazing gear. It should be it's great for alts. LFR 675, I'm proud of them for making LFR lower than what it has been in the past. LFR at 675, fantastic. And I guess the tier pieces for that item level, or for that content, is 685, which is fine. That's not a big deal. It's tier pieces. It should be a little bit higher. Fine. It's great for people that want to go in there and get that, you know, whatever. And then at 685, here's what I would have done. I would have made 685 the Apexis crystal upgrades. So you go from 650 to 685. That's what I would have done. 685 is great for Apexis crystals, because then I would have made the 695 Mythic Dungeons. Mythic Dungeons should be rewarding at least 695 to me. And that way, I would at least feel like, well, you'll get better rewards in Mythic Dungeons. And, You know, if you don't feel like 10 points more is worth it, well, that's fine, but technically it's better. And that's how I would have done it, because Mythic Dungeons are hard. They take more effort than what I'm doing here. And that's why you're never going to see any Mythic Dungeon runs on this channel, because I will not waste my time in there. It's not worth my time. I would much rather do this. This is more fun. But if the rewards were higher, because you reward effort, right? At least in my book you do, then it would be worth it. And then I would have made normal Hellfire either 700 to 705 or 695 to 705, something like that. So that's actually fine. And then, you know, going up from there. But I don't understand why Apexis boosts reward more than Mythic Dungeons, which are extremely hard. They're not easy. And they take a lot of effort, because you actually have to find a group, you have to run to whatever dungeon you've chosen to do, and the rewards just aren't there. It's just, it almost feels like they, I don't know. I've tried, I mean, I was so baffled last night. I was just almost in shock. Like, I was just like, I don't understand. I still don't understand. I don't understand what went through their minds when they designed it that way. It's almost like whoever put it together didn't know what the other person, like, it was almost like there were two groups and they weren't collaborating or something. It just does not, it legitimately does not make sense to me why Mythic Dungeon rewards are not there. They're just not worth it. And like I said, unless you like the challenge, unless you're going in there for a different reason, I don't recommend going in there for gear. It's a waste of time. It's a legitimate waste of time, and that's something that really frustrates me, is when I feel like my time is being wasted. And so I was completely, my enthusiasm for Mythic Dungeons has gone out the door completely. So gearing up here, I recommend just doing, I mean, unless you absolutely hate Apexis dailies, I recommend doing Apexis dailies. I recommend getting yourself a, I mean, if you really want to really capitalize on the amount that you can get every day, you know, you could always add a spirit tavern or whatever, not spirit tavern, spirit lodge, mage towers to your garrison, do the work orders for them, kill ogres for the waystones. You can kill them, kill low-level ones out in Frostfire Ridge or wherever. And it's not hard to get a bunch of those. And do work orders. You get like tons more, like a couple thousand more a day. You can really min-max those. Do all the dailies. Find a group if you want to. They're probably custom groups if you don't have friends to do them with. They are more fun to do with friends. Or you can do them by yourself like I am right now. I mean, they're not too hard to do. So you can do that. You can gear yourself out in 695, and then you go right into Hellfire and fight bosses for the exact same item level for the first half of the raid, which kind of doesn't make sense to me. But hey, that's the way it is. Mythic Dungeons, in my book, are a complete failure in this expansion. Dungeons in general have been a complete failure in this expansion. There's absolutely no, I have nothing positive to say about the dungeons other than the fact that they're really cool to look at. They have really cool boss fights in them. The encounter designers really did a good job on those, but whoever did the gear really screwed the pooch on dungeons. Dungeon rewards, and this is why I think having badges and tier gear is better, because at least then I could have said, well, I'm working towards my tier gear. But, you know, we don't want to do that because we don't want people running them at the end of the expansion. Oh, well, okay, fine, and then we won't run them at all. There's your answer. I guess what we're going to have is a game that doesn't have dungeons, because no one's going to run them. So, you know, hey, that's whatever. If that's the WoW that they want to have, we'll have no dungeons, and at the rate we're going, no PvP. So sooner or later, we're going to have an expansion where it's just a Timeless Isle. I'm going to die from this crap. It's going to be an expansion where we just have Timeless Isle and one raid tier. That's what we're going to have at the rate we're going. So, hey, if that's the WoW they want, then that's fine. But until I see some improvement in Mythic Dungeons, or dungeons in general, I am not running dungeons anymore except to level up and do timewalking. Those are actually fun to do. See, I like to do things that are fun and worth my time. Mythic Dungeons are not worth my time, and I don't think they're worth your time unless you're doing it for the challenge. Like I said, if you like the challenge, then they're great. But then again, if you like the challenge, I recommend doing challenge mode because the rewards are better. So, yeah, that's my thought on the gearing situation. That's my advice on how to gear up, and that's my thoughts on Mythic Dungeons. They are a complete failure, And the more I play Tdon Jungle, guys, honestly, and the more I do this shipyard, the more I am starting to like it, which is the opposite of what I thought would happen. I thought I would like it a lot at first and start to not like it, but the more I do it, the more I look forward to doing more of it. I'm actually waking up in the morning looking forward to coming to Tdon Jungle, and that's something that I value as a player. So, you know, I might have been a little bit too critical in the early game. We'll see. You know, this is growing on me. It's playing WoW. It's doing stuff. I can queue up. I'm queuing up for Blackrock because I got my ring upgrade today, and I would need to get the other 2 little items in the raid. So I'm actually going to do LFR today, believe it or not. It's kind of crazy. So my enthusiasm for the rest of the game has gone way up, but which is ironic because I'm a little negative on dungeons. But yeah, so that's my thoughts, guys, on the gearing situation. And I hope you guys are having as much fun as I'm starting to have with everything else in the game. Give me your feedback on Mythic Dungeons and the gearing situation. And hey, honestly, part of this video is actually a call out for anyone who can explain to me the logic behind why the Mythic Dungeon gear is the way that it is. Because I'm not necessarily just poo-pooing on it just because whatever. I'm not trying to be negative. I genuinely do not understand the philosophy behind why it is the way it is. So if you have a thought on why it might be the way it is, and if you can give me a reason why it might make sense, by all means leave a comment, because I would love to hear what you think about Mythic Dungeons. So guys, this has been Kephas. I know we just kind of had more Tdon Jungle footage today, but hey, it's what I'm doing, and it's actually kind of fun. So hey, get out there in Tdon Jungle, and hey, and I'm going to go do this LFR. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. This is Kephas. Until next time.